What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Wednesday, June 12th, 2024, and I have another emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 14:22 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from here in the United States and also from Europe and the Middle East. So, I want to start with here in the US. So, we currently have U.S. nuclear forces on very high alert. We've had a steady flow of nuclear attack options being broadcasted this afternoon, and we currently have 3 U.S. nuclear war command and control planes up in the air, and this is live. So, what you're looking at here are 3 Boeing E-6B Mercury TACAMO planes. These planes are responsible for communicating with our nuclear armed subs and also for remotely launching our land based ICBMs. We have one looping here off the continental shelf near New Jersey. We have one over Mississippi, and then we have one over Nevada. And then, in addition to these 3, we also have 3 nuclear bombers airborne over Louisiana right now. Okay, these are B 52 Stratofortresses. These planes can carry up to 20 air launched cruise missiles that have a range of over 2,000 miles. Each air launched cruise missile can carry the W 80 thermonuclear warhead, which has a blast yield of 20 times that of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs. So 3 of them up in the air over Louisiana right now. And we also have a lot of sub hunter activity today and earlier this morning and last night around Florida and Cuba. I'm going to show you guys some screenshots from earlier today and late last night. But right now, we have an aerial refueler off the coast of Panama City. We have an aerial refueler off of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And we also had an AWACS plane flying off the coast of Cape Hatteras. So something is going on here. We also had a P-8 go up off of Cape Hatteras as well. So something's going on, guys. Our nuclear forces are definitely spooked for some reason. And like I said, a steady flow of nuclear attack options being broadcasted this afternoon. And what you're looking at here is some fresh video footage coming from Russian state media, RIA Novosti, showing the Russian nuclear sub arriving in Havana, Cuba. Now, the Russians have assured the Americans that this sub is not nuclear armed. But how do we know that? How do we know that the missiles on this sub don't have warheads? We don't know. There's absolutely zero way for the U.S. to confirm 100% that this sub does not have nukes on board unless they have a spy working on the sub, okay? So this is very serious, guys. This could be a nuclear armed sub, and we just don't want to admit it, or the government doesn't want to tell us the truth because they don't want panic. So they're saying, oh, it's just a conventional attack sub. But what if this thing is nuclear armed? What if this is a Cuban Missile Crisis 2.0 situation? Okay, so this is very, very serious. And here we have some video footage that was released by Russian state media as well. This was actually released by the Russian Ministry of Defense, showing one of the Russian warships sailing towards Cuba. Okay, so here it is. This is the Admiral Gorchkov, I think it is. Okay, very advanced warship here. Okay, so this is very, very serious, guys. For all we know, this Russian sub could be nuclear armed, and the U.S. has deployed 3 guided missile destroyers to Cuba to monitor the Russian warships and the sub. They deployed the USS Truxtun, the USS Donald Cook, and the USS Delbert Black. So These are Arleigh Burke class destroyers, and so these can either carry offensive missiles or defensive missiles. And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply has all kinds of prepping and survival products, from potassium iodide to emergency food to water purification, solar generators, everything you can imagine in their general store. And they have special discounts set up just for you, the viewers of NYPrepper. And to get those discounts, you got to use my link, preparewithnyprepper.com. The link is in the description below this video. And once you get to that site, you got to look for the My Patriot Supply logo. You click on that logo and it'll take you to their general store. And right now they're actually doing a $50 discount on the Grid Doctor solar generator, but they have all kinds of discounts here on emergency food, water filters, bug out bag items, potassium iodide. They're actually selling potassium iodide for $10 a bottle with 60 pills in each bottle. That is such a good deal, guys. Normal price, $25 a bottle. So you get yourself a few of those bottles and you have enough potassium iodide for several families. So use the link, preparewithnyprepper.com. And remember, when you get to that page, click on the My Patriot Supply logo to access the general store with all of the discounts. They can carry the Aegis missiles, which are the basically naval version of a Patriot missile battery. Okay, they can intercept missiles with those Aegis missiles, and then they could also carry Tomahawk missiles. Okay, and we have just a ton of sub hunters, and we're hearing reports from Destin, Florida, from a viewer that there were apparently F-16s flying over Destin with missiles underneath the wings. Okay, so this was reported to me by a viewer of this channel. F-16s flying over Destin, Florida, with missiles visible under their wings. Now, if you remember my update from yesterday, I showed you guys the flight path of an F-16 that was flying off the coast of Panama City, Florida, and it was looping. And so I wonder if that F-16 had missiles on board. Okay, so this is very serious, guys. Like I said, for all we know, that sub could be nuclear armed. We just don't know, guys. We have no idea. And here we have the flight path of a sub hunter plane that took off from Jacksonville. This is a P-8 Poseidon. Jacksonville is their home base. It flew straight down to Havana and then turned its transponder off once it got within like 50 miles of Havana. Okay. And then we also had another sub hunter, like maybe 3 or 4 hours later, go down to Havana, and it turned its transponder off when it got close to Havana and then turned around and came back. There was also an aerial refueler off the coast of Florida at the same time. And then we also had another aerial refueler off the coast of South Carolina, and then a sub hunter off of South Carolina. So our Navy is now on very high alert. Here's another shot of the second sub hunter that went down to Havana. So 2 P-8 Poseidon sub hunters going down to Havana in the last 12 hours. And then there was one off the west coast of Florida here that got aerially refueled by a tanker. Okay. So something could be off the coast of Tampa. Something could be off the coast of the Florida Keys. And it looks like something could be off the coast of South Carolina, because we have a lot of assets there. Yeah, here's a closer look at the P-8 Poseidon near Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and the aerial refueler. And Biden went to Brussels. Here's his doomsday plane, Titan 25, heading over to Brussels for the G7 meeting. And we also had a nuclear bomber fly into the Baltic Sea earlier this morning. It took off from RAF Fairford in Britain, and it went all the way to the Gotland Island, and it was flying pretty low near the Gotland Island. and it was doing some loops there, and then it turned around and came back. And then at the same time, there was this weird German Air Force plane with the call sign Pelican. It has no information about it, no registration, no aircraft information, and it flew basically right next to that B-52. So I don't know if that's a German sub hunter. Here's the Pelican, and then here's the B-52. So you can see it was flying right around the same area as the B-52 and right at the same time. So very interesting. We also had a B-52 go all the way down. Actually, two of them go all the way down to the Eastern Mediterranean. So here you can see the flight path of one of those B-52s, and it was accompanied by 3 aerial refuelers. Okay, went all the way down to the Eastern Mediterranean, and this happened at the same time as Hezbollah was launching a massive rocket attack on northern Israel. So perhaps they got deployed because of that, or maybe for some other reason. But 2 B-52s flying down to the Eastern Mediterranean, escorted by 3 aerial refuelers. And then the B-52 actually met a British Eurofighter Typhoon just south of Crete mid-air, and it looks like the British Typhoon escorted the B-52, okay, and it turned its transponder off once it got close to Crete. So this is very, very serious, guys. Nuclear bombers over the U.S. now every single day. B-52s, several of them every single day now. We have B-52s going to the Baltic Sea. We have B-52s going into the Eastern Mediterranean. This is crazy, guys. Now we have potentially a Russian nuclear-armed sub in Cuba, okay? Here we have the Polish border guard patrolling their border with Belarus and Ukraine. And also a Polish F-16 was airborne in northern Poland, which is pretty unusual. Here's a closer look at the Polish border guard patrolling the tri-border region of Poland, Belarus, and Ukraine. Very, very concerning. And then we also had a lot of reconnaissance assets this morning in the Black Sea. We had this RC-135 rivet joint, which is a reconnaissance plane flying parallel to the western shore of Crimea. And then there was also an AWACS plane, an E-3 Sentry, flying over eastern Romania. So I do expect more strikes on Crimea by Ukraine, potentially tonight, because this RC-135 was gathering intel for the Ukrainians, most likely on Sevastopol and some of the other bases here in western Crimea. We had a sub-hunter off the southern coast of Taiwan. It took off from the Philippines, and it was flying off the southern coast of Taiwan. And what's interesting is yesterday, Taiwan started mining their southern coastline and their southern port city. Okay, they've already mined the northern coastline. Now they're mining the southern coastline. And then suddenly a P-8 Poseidon shows up on their southern coastline. So very interesting. We had a lot of reconnaissance activity and sub-hunter activity in the Persian Gulf earlier this morning, which is pretty rare. And here we have a video that was released by the former president of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, and it shows what he believes to be Russia's borders. And so it shows what we know now as Russia. And at the end of the video, what you'll see here is that the Russian borders extend all the way to Poland, and all of Ukraine is included in Russia. Okay, all of Ukraine. So that is very, very concerning. And Russia's Gazprom, which is their primary oil and gas company, I believe it's state-owned, is still doing really, really bad today on the Moscow Stock Exchange. You can see the stock price has plummeted over the last 2 days, and it is still doing really, really bad today. And in the last 5 years, Gazprom has dropped 50%, okay? And just in the last 6 months, it's dropped 30%. Look at this, guys. Okay, look at this huge drop-off, which started at the end of May, all right? And it's still going down, and we're hearing that the Moscow Stock Exchange has stopped trading in dollars and euros today, and this could be as a retaliation for new U.S. sanctions. And so it looks like the BRICS countries are going to try to completely isolate themselves from the dollar and from the euro. And America will be giving Ukraine a Patriot missile battery in the coming days that is currently being used to protect American troops in Poland. So they're going to take this battery from Poland. It's being used by American troops to protect their base, and they're going to send it to Ukraine. And the Netherlands is going to deliver its first F-16s to Ukraine this summer, shortly after Denmark. Dutch Defense Minister Kasia Ollongren said in an interview with European Pravda. And NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said that he accepts Hungary's decision not to take part in the alliance's mission to coordinate assistance to Ukraine. In return, Hungary would not block the initiative for other allies. Hungary opposes the NATO mission in Ukraine, but cannot prevent it since the majority of alliance members support it, Orban said. So very interesting. So Orban basically saying, listen, we're not going to keep blocking your decisions, okay? But we're just going to kind of sit back, let you guys do your thing. But it does look like Hungary may eventually leave NATO, and Biden and Zelensky will sign a new U.S.-Ukraine security deal at the G7. So very interesting. And the U.S. Secretary of Defense had a phone call with the Israeli Defense Minister yesterday. And apparently the U.S. Secretary of Defense was concerned about tension on the border between Israel and Lebanon. And last night, at least 200 rockets were launched from Lebanon to northern Israel, making it the largest rocket barrage since the start of the war in Gaza in October. And the barrage saw the city of Tiberias in northern Israel being targeted for the first time. And the massive rocket attack is believed to be a response to the killing of a top Hezbollah commander in an airstrike the night before. And 3 IDF divisions, that's 25,000 troops, are expected to maneuver into southern Lebanon after it is destroyed from the air and is empty of civilians. And 300 fighter jets are awaiting the command to start a massive preemptive strike on thousands of targets, mostly in Beirut and the Bekaa Valley. July and August are expected to be very difficult months. Okay, so it looks like Israel's going to go into Lebanon in July and August with 25,000 troops, 300 fighter jets. This is going to be like Gaza on steroids. Okay, this is going to be a monstrous operation. Israel has been preparing for it for months now. They've been stockpiling their Iron Dome missiles, so they have enough of them to shoot down all of the Hezbollah rockets, because Hezbollah is believed to have enough rockets to launch 1,000 rockets per day at Israel for 6 months straight. Okay, so Israel needs to have at least that many, if not double that, okay, to intercept them all. So they've been fine-tuning their air defenses, their radars, and also stockpiling those interceptor missiles so they don't run out in the middle of their operation. And they've also been stockpiling food and water and preparing their civilian society for this operation, because it could cause a direct impact on Israel. And the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is currently chairing a security assessment meeting after the escalation last night with Hezbollah, and also the negative response from Hamas regarding the latest ceasefire deal. So basically, Hamas rejected the Israeli ceasefire deal, and now Hezbollah pounding Israel. So this is very serious, guys. Netanyahu could lash out in a very serious way. And Hezbollah successfully struck the Plasan military industrial factory in Sasa settlement with guided missiles. The factory produces various armor and protection for Israeli tanks and vehicles. And Israeli air defense units and Air Force bases across northern and central Israel have been placed on high alert in preparation for a possible large-scale attack by Hezbollah. And a Houthi drone boat, for the first time ever, struck a ship in the Red Sea. A Liberian-flagged bulk carrier is taking on water and currently is not under the command of its crew after being hit by a Houthi drone boat. And a Russian registered cargo ship appeared to have visited a North Korean port in April to possibly pick up weapons and ammo for Russia. Satellite images show the ship, believed to be the Lady R cargo vessel, docked at Rajin, located in the northeastern area of the country. It also seems that the ship had called at Vostochny port in Russia's Far East in the same month. The cargo ship is suspected to have been used to transport weapons and ammo to Russia. Okay, so Russia using cargo ships to pick up ammo for their war in Ukraine from North Korea. And we have unconfirmed reports of the H9N2 bird flu infecting children in India and China. Okay, unconfirmed reports, but this could be very, very serious. We know how densely populated India and China are, and so it could be like deja vu all over again. And yesterday, 36 house mice were found to be infected with H5N1 bird flu in New Mexico. So lots of states now reporting mice and cows and various types of farm animals getting infected with bird flu. Multiple states now. Okay, so this bird flu is jumping from different species. Okay, it's not just stuck in birds, it's going to cows, it's going to mice. All right, so that could be potentially disease X. And wouldn't the timing be perfect with everything going on with the nuclear armed sub in Cuba, the Russian nuclear armed sub in Cuba, and then the war in Ukraine, the situation in Israel, the situation with Taiwan, North and South Korea, and then now suddenly we have a bird flu pandemic. I mean, wouldn't that just be like the perfect thing if you're an elite, if you're one of the New World Order people, okay? But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back later on tonight with more breaking news. I'm not sure yet if I'll go live or not, but at least I'll put a video out. So until later on, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere. Guys, countless people are mistaking private browsing tabs as a way to stay anonymous online. Even with private browsing mode enabled, you can still be tracked by websites and internet service providers. Also, your data is still at risk if you are using unsecured or public Wi-Fi hotspots. That's why I've been protecting my privacy and data with Virtual Shield VPN. I sleep well at night knowing that my data and privacy is not exposed to governments, hackers, and big tech. And if you use the link in the description below this video, which is virtualshield.com/deals/NYPrepper, you can get 70% off and a 60-day risk-free trial. With Virtual Shield's anonymous browsing, a strict no-log policy, unlimited bandwidth, and built-in malware and ad blocking, Virtual Shield also has 24/7 customer support and was built in the USA. So start protecting yourself today. Use the link in the description, which is virtualshield.com/deals/NYPrepper to get 70% off and a 60-day risk-free trial.